Gentlemen, picture this. You've been chasing her for weeks, maybe months. You've sent the good morning text, the how was your day messages. You've been the perfect gentleman. And what do you have to show for it? Radio silence. Maybe a few dry responses if you're lucky. But here's where it gets interesting. And I mean really interesting. What if I told you that the moment you stop doing what every other guy does, something almost magical happens? What if the very thing that feels like giving up is actually the key to making her chase you? I'm not talking about playing games here. I'm talking about triggering something so deep in female psychology that it's practically hardwired into their DNA. And before you roll your eyes and click away, stick with me, because what I'm about to share will completely flip everything you think you know about attraction. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why that girl who's been ignoring you might just become the one texting you first. But here's the catch. Most men will never do what I'm about to tell you because it goes against every instinct they have. So if you're ready to discover what makes women suddenly start chasing, hit that like button and let's dive in. Trust me, reason number 3 is going to blow your mind. Reason 1, the psychology of scarcity. When you disappear, you become valuable. Remember Economics 101? Supply and demand, right? Well, turns out human attraction follows the same rules, and it's absolutely ruthless. Here's what happens when you've been constantly available. You become the emotional equivalent of tap water. Essential, maybe exciting. About as exciting as watching paint dry on a Tuesday afternoon. But the moment you vanish, I mean really disappear, not this half-hearted, I'll wait 3 hours to text back nonsense. Something fascinating occurs in her brain. Suddenly, the guy who was always there isn't, and our brains are wired to notice absence more than presence. Let me tell you about my friend Marcus. This guy spent 6 months being Miss Sarah's personal cheerleader. Good morning, texts, compliments, always available for her drama. She treated him like her emotional tampon, convenient but not exactly attractive. Then Marcus got fed up and completely ghosted. Not out of spite, he just genuinely moved on. 3 weeks later, Sarah's blowing up his phone at 2 a.m. asking where he went. 6 months of constant attention, nothing. 3 weeks of silence, suddenly she's writing novels in his DMs. The scarcity principle doesn't just work with limited edition sneakers and concert tickets. When you remove your attention, you transform from background noise into a mystery that needs solving. Her brain starts asking questions. Where did he go? Why isn't he interested anymore? What's he doing that's more important than me? And here's the kicker. The harder something is to get, the more we convince ourselves we want it. It's not logical. It's psychological. When you stop being available, you stop being boring. But hold on, because what I'm about to tell you next takes this to a whole different level. Reason 2, triggering her competitive nature. Women don't just want what's rare, they want what other women want. And nothing, and I mean nothing, gets a woman's attention faster than realizing she's lost the competition. Picture this scenario. You used to orbit around her like she was the sun. Then suddenly, you're posting photos with other people. You're genuinely happy. You're living your life. What do you think goes through her mind? Oh, good. He's finally left me alone. Not a chance. Her brain kicks into competitive mode faster than a Formula One driver hitting the gas. See, women are constantly evaluating their options and their position in the social hierarchy. When you were always available, she had you ranked somewhere below her morning coffee in terms of importance. But the moment you start thriving without her, that ranking gets flipped upside down. I once watched this play out in real time at a coffee shop. This woman had been treating this guy like a backup option for months. He was always there, always interested, always trying to win her over. Then, one day, he shows up with another woman, laughing, having genuine fun, completely ignoring the first girl. The look on her face? Priceless. Suddenly, she's walking over, interrupting their conversation, finding reasons to talk to him. The guy who couldn't get a text back is now getting actively pursued because she realized other women see value in him. It's primal, it's competitive, and it works because it triggers something deep in female psychology. If other women want him, maybe she was wrong about his value. Maybe she made a mistake letting him slip away. But the real magic happens when you combine this with what I'm about to reveal next. This third reason is so powerful that it can turn complete indifference into genuine desire almost overnight. Reason 3, the emotional roller coaster effect, from boredom to intrigue. Brace yourself for this one, because it's about to get deep. The University of British Columbia conducted a study that should be mandatory reading for every man on the planet. They showed women photos of men with 3 different expressions: happy, prideful, and brooding or mysterious. Guess which ones women found most attractive? Not the happy, available, I'm just thrilled to be here guys. It was the mysterious, slightly aloof ones, the guys who looked like they had secrets, like they were thinking about something more important than getting her attention. Here's why this matters. When you were constantly available, constantly happy to hear from her, constantly eager, you created an emotional flatline. No highs, no lows, just predictable, safe, boring consistency. And boring doesn't create attraction. It creates friendship at best. But the moment you vanish, I mean really disappear, not this half-hearted, I'll wait 3 hours to text back nonsense. Something fascinating occurs in her brain. Suddenly, the guy who was always there isn't, and our brains are wired to notice absence more than presence. Let me tell you about my friend Marcus. This guy spent 6 months being Miss Sarah's personal cheerleader. Good morning, texts, compliments, always available for her drama. She treated him like her emotional tampon. Convenient, but not exactly attractive. Then Marcus got fed up and completely ghosted. Not out of spite, he just genuinely moved on. 3 weeks later, Sarah's blowing up his phone at 2 a.m., asking where he went. 6 months of constant attention? Nothing. 3 weeks of silence, suddenly she's writing novels in his DMs. The scarcity principle doesn't just work with limited edition sneakers and concert tickets. When you remove your attention, you transform from background noise into a mystery that needs solving. Her brain starts asking questions. Where did he go? Why isn't he interested anymore? What's he doing that's more important than me? And here's the kicker. The harder something is to get, the more we convince ourselves we want it. It's not logical. It's psychological. When you stop being available, you stop being boring. But hold on, because what I'm about to tell you next takes this to a whole different level. Reason 4. Social proof in action. When others see your worth. Here's something most dating advice gets completely wrong. They tell you to fake confidence, to pretend you're valuable, to act like you have options. That's exhausting, transparent, and ultimately ineffective. But when you genuinely disappear and start building a life you're actually excited about, something authentic happens. You stop performing value and start demonstrating it. Real social proof isn't about posting fake stories on Instagram or name-dropping celebrities you don't know. It's about becoming genuinely engaged in your own life, to the point where chasing someone who doesn't appreciate you becomes, well, boring. Harvard Business School did a fascinating study on perceived value in social situations. They found that people who were genuinely busy and selective with their time were rated as more competent, more successful, and more desirable than those who were always available. It's not about being fake busy, it's about having a life worth being busy with. Reason 5. The mystery of genuine indifference, when you actually move on. Here's the part that separates the boys from the men, the pretenders from the authentics. Everything I've told you so far works, but only if this 5th element is genuine. You can't fake true indifference, and women have built-in radar for detecting emotional neediness. The most powerful thing you can do isn't to pretend you don't care. It's to actually reach a point where you genuinely don't need her validation to feel good about yourself. When you truly move on, when you're genuinely happy with your life, regardless of her involvement, that's when the real magic happens. Dr. Helen Fisher, an anthropologist who studies love and attraction, discovered something remarkable about the brain chemistry of desire. The harder someone is to read, the more the brain releases dopamine trying to figure them out. But here's the catch. This only works if the mystery is authentic. When you're genuinely living your best life, genuinely excited about your goals, genuinely surrounded by people who appreciate you, you create authentic mystery. You're not playing hard to get. You are hard to get, because getting you would mean pulling you away from a life you actually love. The woman who once ignored you doesn't suddenly chase you because you're playing hard to get. She chases you because you've become genuinely hard to get. There's a massive difference, and women can smell the difference from a mile away. If this video helps shift your perspective on attraction and dating, smash that like button and let me know in the comments by typing authenticity. I read every single one and love hearing your success stories. And if you're ready to dive deeper into building genuine confidence and creating the kind of life that naturally attracts quality women, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Next week, I'm dropping a video about the 3 things women notice about you in the first 30 seconds that determine whether you're friend-zoned or boyfriend material. Until then, gentlemen, stop chasing and start building. The right woman will notice. Type authenticity in the comments if this video gave you